Are you ready to level up? This video series is designed to inspire and empower those with a dream to step into the next level on their journey of becoming the confident, passionate soul that is within. Get ready to be inspired. All right. Welcome back. We are here for the Level Up series today, and I have a very, very special guest on with us, the incredible, fabulous CEO of Smart Cookies, Sandra Grahame. She is here talking about what it means to level up financially, and I am so excited for you guys to hear from her today. So before we dive in, tell us a little bit about you, your journey, what you do, all the exciting things.
Sure. Okay. So the Smart Cookies story, which is my business, got started several years ago. Was living in Vancouver, Canada, had a great job and was a few years out of college. And I remember sitting down and Googling, I wanted to buy my first place. I wanted to invest in Vancouver's a really challenging market to do that, but I was super determined. And I remember Googling and just nothing, I wasn't getting anything that was speaking to me the way I wanted to learn about money, to learn about investing, and to buy a house. Like I just wanted to buy get into the real estate market. And so fast forward to that weekend, and my girlfriend Angie and I were out for drinks, and we ended up talking about money. And same thing, she was trying to make smarter decisions with her money. And she's like, what? Like, why isn't there any financial education that is just simplified and also honest and really authentic, and not like some stodgy banker waving his finger at you? It was almost like we wanted a girlfriend who was really smart with money to just be like, hey, like, this is what you do. This is how you do it, right? As girls and women do. We're just like, we figure it out and then we help each other. So we had this idea that we would get together and start helping each other reach our financial goals. And then I went to work that week, and it was a Monday, and my girlfriend Andrea at work came over to me. She was like, hey, Oprah is doing this series. She's calling it her Debt Diet series. She's helping people reach their financial goals. I was thinking it'd be cool if we got a group together to do it. And I ran over to my little cubicle and I called Andrea on the phone. I was like, you're never going to believe this. The girls at work want to do what we were talking about doing. It was one of those moments where, you know, how everything just kind of falls into place. And so it ended up being 5 of us girlfriends who sat down at Katie's kitchen table. We brought our bank statements, our credit card statements, and really had an honest conversation about money. So for a lot of us, that was revealing debt. It was revealing some pretty crazy spending that was happening. And but we took action right away. And so we created our own system for setting financial goals, for increasing our earnings, for paying off debt, and just really creating, dreaming of the life that we really wanted and putting the financial plan into place to make that happen. So in the course of a year, we increased our salaries by more than $100,000. We paid off more than $40,000 worth of debt. We had significant money in investments and savings. And we ended up on Oprah a year later to share our success story about how we had done it, and also how the friendships that we had created through that, and the idea about women talking about money and helping one another was a message that Oprah was really excited about. So that's how that happened. And so we were not a business at that point. We were 5 girlfriends who were we were still working our full-time jobs and all had side hustles. So I was in PR at the time. So I was taking PR clients. I was doing all the things sold my car, like was taking the bus everywhere. Like it was Smart Cookie go time to reach our financial goals. So the business of Smart Cookies evolved after that. After, we realized, like, okay, I don't think we're the only women who also want this information and want to talk about money and want to take control and do it in a way that's really fun and inspiring. And so that is what the business of Smart Cookies is today. And so today I run the business full time. The other girls are as involved as they want to be, but it's my baby, and I love it.
I love that you really brought conversation to it, because I feel like finances is something that is so like almost secretive. We just don't share enough. We're not as open in our dialogue about it, and especially not with friends. So like, I love that you're like, okay, girls, we're getting together. We're figuring this out, like lay it on the table. This is what we need to talk about, and this is how we can fix it. And when you create that open conversation, a safe place to do so, and then the awareness of what's going on, it allows you to then move forward with the solutions to figure out new ways to budget and to work it out. and to help other people along the way. And I love that this has turned, from something that you did with the girls to now it's like, it's your full-time business. And I love your mission. So super, super excited to dive into that later today.
Yay.
So when you think about leveling up financially, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, so it means for me personally and also in business too. So for me, leveling up financially is operating from a place of not having debt, especially consumer debt. It is having that peace of mind that you know where your money is going, making your money work hard for you. So being aggressive with investments, being aggressive with taxable expenses and knowing what that is and knowing that every single dollar that you put out there is giving you a return back, whether that's a financial return or like a lifestyle return. But it's really important to me to be spending with intention. And over the years have really honed in on what that process looks like to do that, and what the habit is. I mean, money's funny because there's the tools and the math and the equations, but it's really not that complicated. But 90% of it is really the psychology of it. And they're like, okay, I know what to do. But when I'm sitting on my phone and it's 9 o'clock at night and I've had 2 glasses of wine and like the Instagram ad pops up, like, how do I not press buy and make sure that that money is going towards something that really means something to me? So that to me is the ultimate financial level up, is when your money is going directly towards building that life that you see for yourself, that like lights you up, that makes you super excited, makes you really proud. And money's just a tool to do that.
100%. I think we have the mindset a lot of time that money is like, it kind of is a weight versus a tool. And so we don't see it that way. Like we don't see it as like something that we can use that works for us, not something that's holding us back or dragging us along or, and I think, like you said, a lot of money really is mindset. And so I love that today we're definitely talking about that and just how you can approach money from a different perspective, how you can make it work for you instead of resisting it, with the awareness and everything. So was this something that always came naturally to you over time, or has been kind of a learning process along the way?
No, like it is hilarious to my family that this is my life now. They're like, of all the things that we pictured you doing with
that's how it works, right?
Yeah, but it wasn't. But I was the girl, I joke, now I have kids, so watching them and how they deal with money is so fascinating to me, because when we were kids, my brother was the kid who had like invested in bonds at like 6 years old. Like we'd go to the toy store and we'd have like $10 and he would be, spending $2. And meanwhile, I'd be trying to like borrow money from him so I could get myself bigger things. So no, finances and money. I'm a great spender naturally. But I was, you hit on this, Haley. It's the idea of sometimes we think it's more complicated than it is. And I think that comes from a lot of like jargon. I think it comes from a lot of like a male dominated industry that for whatever reason needed it to sound really complicated, and it's not. Like once you figure out some of the terminology and like if you're running a business, like your P&L and your profit and like all the things, once you just learn what those are, you're like, well, what the F? Like it's not that hard. And so it's really, I think once I got on the other side of that, and doing that with my girlfriends was super helpful, right? Because you felt like you could ask the question that maybe you would have been like, oh my God, is this a dumb question? Like, does everyone know the answer to this except me? Is there some secret club that everyone else is part of that lets them know what the right financial plan is? You just feel like there's this world that you're not involved in. And so that is really scary. And so I think for me, once I got on the other side of it, I was like, wow, like this is really fun. And what becomes really fun is when you realize, like when you take those steps with your money and you pay off the debt, or you increase your savings account, or you start the money, you get the money to start your business. And you're like, whoa, like if I can do that, like what's the next thing? And then it becomes, like you say, you realize it's something positive and it's a tool. I was on a call with a mastermind group that I run yesterday, and we were talking about, having the vision, like the vision of your life is your compass for your money, right? And so, and for everything you do in life. So you have that vision. And if you have a path to get there, like you have the blueprint, but you need something to pave that path, to give you the foundation. And so money to me is like the bricks on the path. They're just a tool, and they lay your foundation, and you put one in front of the other, and it helps you to get to where you are going in an easier way. And so when you can take control of that tool, then you're like, well, sky's the limit, literally. So there isn't much you can't do once you have that financial foundation and you've leveled up financially.
For sure. And I think you hit on such a key point too, with the terminology being way more complicated than it really needs to be. And I think a lot of the time we're intimidated by that. And so rather than investigate or ask questions, we're just like, I feel like I should know this. I feel silly for asking.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we need to ask more questions. Like, these are things you should be more aware of. But I feel like a lot of the times, and I know we touched on this a little bit when we connected last week, a lot of the times when it comes to finances, it's like an afterthought. Like when something goes wrong, then we're like, oh, now I have to learn because you're forced to, rather than being proactive ahead of time and managing
and
the
then
right way.
That perpetuates the like negative emotion, right? When you're just looking at it when, you know, an invoice is overdue, or, you know, you having to like frantically collect your tax documents because your accountant is asking for them. And then it just becomes the constant stress, right? And so if you can build the practice and build the habit, which is what I'm super passionate about helping people with, to make it something that you look forward to, and to make it something, you know, like a money date and looking at your numbers can be something like pour yourself a glass of wine, like put on nice music, make it a nice experience. Like, let's be honest, like I'm a creative person, passionate person, like so are you, Haley, probably everyone who's listening is too. Like there are a million other things you would rather do than like get out your Excel spreadsheet and like put on your accounting visor and dig into the numbers. But if you make it something, so I always tie my like money dates with myself, or personally and business, to, I'm a visual person, so I use it to like check in with my vision board, my inspiration board. So I'm like, okay, what am I working on right now? What are my dreams? Like, what's my why right now? And then I'm like, okay, cool. Like, where are we financially to get there? And so coming at it from a place of something I look forward to, and then building the number piece into it has worked really well for me. And it makes it something that I enjoy and look forward to. And now I'm in those numbers every single day. And that's a practice. Like, be gentle with yourself. Like, you might freak out the first couple times, but over time, it'd be so many of the women that I work with are like, is it weird that I like kind of look forward to digging into the numbers? I'm like, no, that's what should happen. And that's an amazing, amazing thing. Like, that's you being empowered financially. And that's like the best feeling ever.
It makes a huge difference when it's like you said, all mindset. When you go from like, oh, I have to do this, to now like, how can I make this an enjoyable experience? Like, what do I get out of this? Like thinking about how is doing this, how is being more aware and more empowered with my money going to impact me, my business, my family, like the other side of that. And so coming into it from a positive perspective, which leads me to like, how has this renewed focus when it comes to money and finances, how has that impacted you and your family and your business? How has this impacted you for the better?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like my whole world is impacted for the better. I mean, it's so crazy. Even when I think back to what happened that year with the girls in the money club, and like Oprah aside, like that was obviously an amazing thing that happened. But even before that, like we were all like young and dating, and like all of a sudden the right men were like appearing, and amazing work opportunities were happening. Like when I look back at what was happening, not only because of the money in the bank account, but because I think there's like a big energetic shift that comes when women take control of their finances and have a clear vision for their lives, right? So yeah, so meeting my husband, who he was in Vancouver at the time, and then he's from Denver, so that's where I am now. We ended up getting married. Being able to like build my dream home has always been like on my vision board forever. And so we saved up, like I was so scrappy. Even when I moved to Denver, I still didn't have a car. And like Denver has a great public transportation system. My husband's like, you can like get a car. I'm like, no, we wanted to save for a down payment on our house. And so those choices, which I never viewed anything as a sacrifice. I viewed it as a choice because I knew the path that I was on. But yeah, building our dream home, which we were able to do a couple years ago, being able to, I remember couple years ago, because it was interesting now having kids and how that affects everything, obviously. But for me, I'm like, as a family, I'm like, I just want to have a ridiculously fun life for our family on our terms. Like, and that means like taking trips and being able to take the kids to school and pick them up from school and like work when I want to, and being able to spend our time with who we want doing what we want is the essential vision for my life, and having the financial plan to do that has allowed that to happen. And so that's why I continue to be I still love so much like doing this work and helping people, because it's not about the money. Like, it's so not about the money. It's about the life that happens, and also being able to sustain a business that's now been 12 years.
Wow.
That this business has grown and been profitable and be debt free. And here we are on the doorstep, like in another recession. And I'm like, I know I've got cash reserves. Like I feel really fortunate. And now I'm like, okay, like everyone needs to be able to do this so that they can have that same piece of, like, the peace of mind that comes from that is so valuable. Like, just being able to go to sleep and know, like, okay, like, I'm good financially. No matter what happens, you have not only the money in the bank, but like, you know, you have the skill set to kind of ride out those waves.
I feel like right now too, with everything that's going on in the world, this is such a good time to reflect on what needs to change and what we need to become more aware on, because I do think a lot of, businesses, solopreneurs are really in this place of struggle because they weren't prepared. They, weren't paying as much to, their finances as they should have. And now it's again, that reaction of like, oh my gosh. And then money and finances, it's this very intimidating thing. But like you said, you can go to bed with the peace of mind that like, you're good. Everything's good because you've done that work ahead of time to use money as a tool to become more aware of, what's out there. And it allows you the choices today to be able to create that dream life. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think for people who are feeling that like super stressed and like, oh crap, like I wish I would have done that. Like, get yourself out of that headset, like release it. We've all made financial mistakes, and this is still a journey. Like, I still make mistakes along the way too. But the key is to understand that those financial setbacks can be your greatest comeback.
Amen.
So it's an opportunity to dig into the numbers, to take control of the numbers, to put those systems into place, to be taking a portion of what's coming in and just automatically saving it to get an overall, like, are we ever going to buy real clothes again? Like, does it pants and shoes anymore? Like, no, you probably don't. So I think what's going to come on the other side of this is, I think we're all going to be spending with more intention, which I think is a beautiful thing. And be taking control of our money in a more positive way. So yeah, if you're feeling stressed, trick yourself into saying, okay, you know what, that the past is in the past. And if debt has been an issue, like, that's okay. Like, it's done. And for a lot of people right now, they're going, not that I would ever be like, yeah, just go into debt. But some people like that, they have to at this moment. And that's okay, as long as you set a plan going forward to get out of it and to work towards that bigger vision. And sometimes debt is part of that vision. Like, debt isn't always a terrible thing. So just know, if you're feeling like, if you're beating yourself up about that, stop doing that. And there's light at the end of the tunnel, and there is going to be a silver lining, and who knows where this journey will take you on the other side of it.
I love that you touched that this is a journey.
Yeah.
You don't just arrive. Like, it's a learning process. And sometimes those hard times, this time now, is going to be one of the greatest lessons that is going to propel us into where we go. And so you're so right. Like, coming in with the mindset of like, how can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? And if you're in debt right now, like, then that's a part of your story, but you can use that to your advantage as you continue to move along. I love that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Good stuff. So where do you think, when it comes to finances, especially in the starting phases of, becoming more aware financially, really like being proactive, where do you think most people struggle when it comes to finances?
Yeah. So I think a lot of people they might start the process and then either get frustrated because they're not making the progress that they thought they were going to make right off the bat, or like a setback will happen, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I ended up racking up my credit card. I said I wouldn't, and like throw in the towel. And like, next thing you know, like, you're like, oh, I'll just treat myself. And it turns into like 6 months of like, what just happened? So I think understanding that those setbacks are going to happen, and being able to have a goal that's like means more to you to push forward through that. And like, you have to, if you have one step back, you've got to take 2 steps forward. So checking in with those goals and making sure that your spending is as much as possible in alignment with what is important to you. And a really quick exercise that is super, super helpful and I have it in a guide, actually. It's called the Spending Edit. And so it walks you through how to 5 questions to ask going forward as you are going to spend your money, but also looking back at those 2 months worth of expenses and being like, okay, would I really have bought all these things? Like if I look back and I'm like, wow, did I really love it? Did I enjoy it? Would I bought it if it wasn't on sale? Walking through those questions and adding up what that number is, because I think sometimes what happens is we think we don't have enough money to work on a plan that's going to help us build wealth, right? It's like, oh, I need to be making more money, or like I'm living paycheck to paycheck. So that's probably like having a financial plan isn't for me. And then you look at the numbers and you're like, I actually have like, there's definitely money coming in. So if I just switch my mindset and we're a little more strategic with it, then yeah, like a little bit of investing here and there really adds up, not only for the short term, but also the long term. Like you can excel if you're a business owner, you can accelerate the growth of your business faster than you think. Even if you're not a business owner, like you could be investing probably more than you think. So going through and really knowing what that number is always super eye-opening. So it's like, oh my God, I have like $500 right now that I could just be like re-putting into something that's way more meaningful and getting me closer to those dreams.
Absolutely. Starting before you're ready and stewarding what you have now. I think a lot of the times we think, okay, well, when I'm at this point, then I'll manage better, or I'll invest, or I'll do this. And it's like, but if, I will never forget, I cannot remember who shared this with me, but a good friend a few years back, she said this, and it completely changed my entire perspective on if you're not managing and stewarding what you have now, how can you expect to grow or to have more if you're not doing what you need to do right now?
It's so true. And Haley, it's so funny, like even now in business, right? And I feel like I've seen some amazing women succeed in business and amazing people like making 7 figures, and like, that's awesome. But like, truly, like, it doesn't matter how much you're making if you're spending everything that you're making and you don't have those financial systems in place and you're not super intentional with your expenses and you have a grasp on that, like that is going to building wealth isn't about the money coming in. It's not 100%. It is about being strategic with what you have. And that starts it starts before you even start making money in your business. Like having those systems in place, like that is going to serve you. And that's what's going to help you get there faster and be able to build on that more. And so I think that's a super, super, super important lesson. I was listening to Amy Porterfield's podcast at some point this year. She said the same thing. She was talking about finances. She's like, I just started working with a financial advisor. And she's like, shit, like if I would have done that years ago, like think of what I left behind. And so while it's never too late to start, I think, the sooner that you can just be like, okay, I just got to do this. I got to talk to somebody who has just a few steps ahead of you, right? Like that's all you need is someone to help you, show you the path and give you the tools and do it in a way that you're going to be inspired and you're going to make it stick.
Absolutely. And looking at it as a growing opportunity and a learning opportunity. Yeah, for sure. So now, do you have weekly or even daily practices that you do every single day when it comes to finances?
Yeah, for sure. So I have a tool that I use for my business. We've used it since day one at Smart Cookies. I still use it. It's called a profit tracker. So I'm literally watching what is coming in and what is going out on a daily basis. And I really nerd out on that. It just becomes part of my morning routine. I get things done and then I have a coffee and I'm checking in with that. So that's really important to me. Also, doing that spending awareness is really important, is a really helpful tool for me as well. And then doing that monthly. So every month, what I'm also doing as well. So I do work with an accountant who helps me compile everything for tax-wise, but I'm going through that every single month and going through the expenses and matching the receipts and doing all those things. So that's like my monthly money date, but I am in there on a daily basis. And then also connecting with my bigger why and like why I have those financial goals, right? It's like, okay, I want to save $50,000 in my business this year. Let's say that's a goal of yours. It's like, okay, that's cool. But like on the day when you're just tired and exhausted, like that goal doesn't mean anything to you. So really understanding like what at the core that means to me. And for me, having that money allows me to just be able to do the work that I love and live the life that I love and sort of fulfill the mission that I feel like I have. So that is my why and why I do it. And also like my kids now watching financially, I'm like, oh my gosh, like what they learn and what they absorb. We were sitting around the breakfast table on Mother's Day, and my husband was like, let's talk about like what we love about mom. And my Jack was like, I love that she contributes money to our family. And I was like, oh my God, that's my love language.
Yes.
So like, who says that? Second mom, like, that means so much to me. But it's true.
That's fantastic. And I love, you brought this up a couple of times throughout our chat today. I love that you tie money with values.
Yeah.
And is this aligning, like when I'm spending, is this aligning with what I value? Or do I just see, a sales ticket and I'm like, oh, it's on sale, so I have to buy it. Well, like, do you really want it? Or are you just looking at the fact that it's on sale and now you're wanting to put it in the cart?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's the biggest thing, is really understanding that your spending is going towards things that are really important to you. Yes. And also operating in business and personal finance from a goals first, spend later mentality. So when money comes in, like that has to go towards your goals, number one. So whether you're saving for a house, whether you're saving for a wedding, whether you're paying off your debt, if that is like your number one goal, like you can't operate from a like, oh, whatever's left over at the end of the month, like I'll use that. Like there will never be money. If you don't give it a place to go, it is going to go. It is going to disappear. So in business, I feel like that's a trickier thing to get a handle on, because it's so easy to just be like throwing money at things and like the websites and all the things that come with it. But really operating from a like, okay, what is going to give me a return on my investment, and saving that money first and operating from a profit first mentality. I love that book. And I think just simplifying that whole, so there's a book called Profit First, and it teaches you to essentially just take, before you spend anything in your business, like take a percentage out and put it in an account that you do not touch. Yes. And what that account is essentially like your business dreams account. So if you want to invest in a new website, if you want to invest in a course or a coach, or if you want to pay yourself a huge dividend at the end above and beyond the salary that you pay yourself from your business, or reinvest, like that is your profit account. You label it whatever you want, but like taking that money off the top, then figuring out how much you need to pay yourself as a business owner, if anything at all. And then with whatever is left over, that's what you use for your expenses. Your expenses aren't dictated by like what people are telling you need to spend money on. Your expenses are dictated by like what you have to spend. And so that to me, there's a lot of freedom in that, because then you can be like, okay, so I have $2,000 that I can spend on expenses. So I need to figure out as a creative, like scrappy business owner, how to do that. And so that putting those systems in place is super important. And that is what over the years is going to give you the peace of mind and allow you to bring those goals to life faster than you think.
I love that. I just started doing this practice, and it's very simple, and I'm definitely no money expert, but it's helped me a lot to just rethink money and going forward month to month, where every month, like in the beginning of the month, I lay out, okay, like this is profit coming in, this is what I want to invest in, this is what I need to, put in my savings, and, this is bills or debt or whatever needs to be paid off. And it's been so fun to go in and see like, okay, now like I get to use this for something. And it excites me, because there are things that I want to invest in when it comes to my business or my education. And now I get to use that because I planned ahead of time to kind of lay it all out in a super easy format, just throw it in my notebook. And it's helped me tremendously just to go in with a different mindset of more awareness, more control, and using it for the things that matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. It's when you give your money a purpose, it becomes fun, right? Like you can go in and be like, okay, how much do I have saved for this? And how close am I to making that goal happen? And that's a huge motivator in business too, right? Like that helps you earn more money. That helps you be of more service. That helps you be more deeply connected to your mission, and allows you to have a better experience as a business owners, and your customers and your clients feel that too. So it's a huge thing. I love that. And just doing it in your notebook. I love that, Haley. Like you don't need a fancy like program or the spreadsheet you can use, but you don't have to like literally jot it down in a note on your phone and just take control of those numbers.
Yeah, I'm definitely coming in from a very beginner money mindset, just starting out and really doing it in a way that's going to help me change my perspective. And then I can start to put it in a tracker where the habit starts to form after that. But yeah, I was just going in like, this is fun. How can I use this? And really just being more aware. And it's been such a fun thing, such a huge thing.
I
So
love hearing
now,
that.
like
That's awesome.
with your career now, day to day, tell us a little bit about your mission and why you do the work that you do.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So the whole mission of Smart Cookies is to help ambitious women achieve their financial goals, both in personal finance and also with business finance as well. And that to me is, for me personally, I am so committed and passionate about, like, if you, as a woman especially, like, have a dream and have a purpose and, like, you know, you have that potential, I don't want any woman to not pursue that because they don't have the financial resources.
Yes.
So I don't want that to ever stop anybody. And I see that, like, for my daughter, I'm like, you can do whatever you want. And I am not going to let you, I'm not going to give you, like, I'm not going to be like a bank account for you to take the money to do that. But, like, I know that you can have the tools to figure this out and to learn how to do this for the rest of your life. So that is my biggest mission. Like, I love more, there's nothing I love more than seeing women with, like, dreams and vision bring those to life. I think that helps, like, families and the whole world as a whole. So that is why I do what I do. And so, yeah, on a daily basis. So I have several online courses that I run. I have mastermind groups that I run, and I really spend my whole day, like, doing what I love and helping these women really change their businesses and change their lives. What's cool is that Spark Cookies started almost like 12 years ago. So really, like, when the book came out and the real business started was about 10 years ago. So what's really cool now is seeing, like, the OG Smart Cookies coming back 10 years later and being like, oh my gosh, like, I have built my dream home and I run, like, my dream business. And I think sometimes I think it was Marie Forleo who said, like, we underestimate what we can do in a year, or we overestimate what we can do in a year, and we underestimate what we can do in a decade.
Yeah.
So while, you know, changes that you make with your finances, like, you're going to see those little wins over, like, they're not going to all be 10 years down the line, but when you see what those add up to, and 10 years, by the way, flies by, like, what you can do now with your money and change those habits and start those systems now, what that will create for you in 10 years is, like, just the coolest thing. So that's what, like, really gets me excited, is seeing the impact that this has on women's lives from all over the world, which is so crazy.
Wow, I adore your mission. I think it is so needed. I think we have to have more conversations about money. I just absolutely love what you're doing. And I love that you're instilling that mindset into your kids, your women around you, those who you work with, of you can have it all. Like, you can do what you dream of. And it's that abundance mindset rather than the lack, you know, not being held back by the lack of what isn't right now, but the abundance of what could be. I am all about that right now. I think I just made an Instagram post today about abundance because it's such a mindset thing of, rather than being stuck in your current reality, what will the future hold? What can you look forward? What is abundant already right now when it comes to money, and how you can grow from that place instead of a place of, I don't have enough or lack. It's such a big difference there. So I love that you touched on that. Huge. So last question I want to ask you today, if you could give our viewers a challenge to start today of what they could do when it comes to leveling up financially, what is the one thing you would challenge them to do?
Okay, so here's what I would do. Create your vision. If you've ever done an exercise like a day, perfect day well lived, we call it day well lived in Smart Cookies. But so do that. So get a crystal clear vision. And if you're a business owner, you need to merge the two. So crystal clear vision of your business and your life together. And then you need to figure out how much it's going to cost to live that life. It's so funny, but it's such a powerful thing. So if you go through and, like, you're doing, like, an estimate, let's say, like, you go through your day well lived and you're like, okay, I would be traveling and I'd be paying myself $100,000 a year, blah, blah, blah. You could do some quick math and be like, okay, I need to be making $250,000 a year to bring that to life. That clarity of, like, knowing your life and knowing what it's going to cost to live that life, then you can work backwards and you can figure it out and you can make it happen. But that combination of putting the number onto the vision is magic in the making. So do that for yourself and you will get yourself to that goal faster than you think.
Yes, that is powerful. Having a point to actually go to rather than just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping it will stick. Like, where are we
Yeah,
going with this? What is that dream? Oh, I
yeah,
love that.
exactly.
Very cool. Very cool. Oh my gosh, my friend, thank you so, so much for your time today. This has been so empowering. I am even more excited to dive into money
Yeah,
after this. And
yeah.
I'm just excited that you are on here sharing your mission. I think it is so, so needed in the world today. And I just really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to chat with us and talk all things leveling up financially.
Of course, I love it. Thank you for the opportunity, Haley. This was so fun.
Yes, of course. And last but not least, where can we find you on social media or Facebook page groups? Where can we find you?
Yeah, for sure. So Instagram is Sandra.Grahame. Graham has a fancy E at the end, like Grahame. No, not Grahame. But Sandra.Grahame is where you can find me on Instagram. And then smartcookies.com has all the resources and all the links and all the tools to have as well. And I'll send you a couple of the resources that I mentioned too. So if people want to get their hands
Oh,
on
yes. Yes. I'll include them in our email too so that you can get your hands on those. So, oh my gosh, thank you so much. That's awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much.